Hello there, friends. Welcome in to Real Life Conversations for Christian Coaches. I'm Teresa McCloy,
And I'm Erica Vinson.
and we are thrilled that you are here. We are coming into an episode here in December where we're just going to have some honest and real conversations because that's what we do here on the podcast. We just want to recognize the season that we're in. So we hope you'll enjoy listening in as we talk about living into Christmas. We're going to talk through the lens of some of our own personal story, but also through the lens of how does it affect you in your business or your ministry as a coach when you're showing up sometimes with some real and raw things that might be going on for you in the holiday season? So, Erica, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. It's great to be back with you.
Yeah, sometimes we were just talking off air. Sometimes I'm solo, sometimes we're together. So, it's great to have you back.
Thank you,
Well,
friend.
let's just talk about where we're going. And I think one of the first things is just Christmas sometimes or the holiday season. Let's put it all together from before Thanksgiving to the all the way through the new year. To be honest, we have three big holidays that come
Mm.
together and they affect us personally and they also affect us professionally, the being and the doing, as we often say. And we just want to name that out loud, I think, because you and I have both been there through difficult and also joyous holiday seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the holidays come whether we feel ready for them or not. It's just something that is part of our calendar year. And yet, sometimes naming that, whether the joy, it might be coupled with something else like sorrow or hard, and all of it belongs. And that's some of what we're going to talk about today.
I think that's true. And we actually just talked about this inside of our coach community today on our um, network call about this idea of the joy and the sorrow. And it doesn't always feel merry and bright, as we say, and festive and all of those things. And I know there's lots of conversations out there, and we won't go there today so much, but lots of conversations about gathering with family doesn't always feel easy and all of those things. But that might be just even where you might start to process and think if you were having to describe a feeling
Mm.
of how you're coming in to this 45 days or so, this year, for me, the holidays feel blank.
Yeah.
And fill in that blank word because sometimes just naming something helps it move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're able to actually just be honest, it really kind of moves us towards acceptance of what's my pulse here. When we check our pulse, sometimes we can see, okay, I'm running too fast, or it feels slow, or that feels normal. And yet, just knowing where we are, I think it's Richard Rohr that says, good journey begins with knowing where you are and being willing to go somewhere else. And so, just checking in and going, how am I today? How am I in this season is so important.
This is for me where some tools can be helpful. One tool that comes to mind that we have is the My Life Now maps through One Life Maps. Even just sitting down and looking at the questions that are on there of like, because it is identifying where am I at right now? Being able to give it some language, do some writing, some drawing around it, whatever might feel good. It might only take you an hour, but just to get it out of your body and onto some paper to acknowledge whether that's grief that you have. Maybe there's someone that you've lost in the past year that normally would be at a holiday gathering, or it's different because you've walked through divorce or you've walked through loss, or your adult kids are not going to be with you, or there's conflict. Lots of reasons why it can feel different, but to say that out loud. The other tool for me, of course, is having a rule of life process. When you use a rule of life and recognize that this is how I'm moving forward, you've already done some of that work. For us in our process, we do it quarterly. It's we're looking at things often, they're not sneaking up on us. I think that's one of the things that happens to people in the holiday season. All of a sudden it's here and you walk into your favorite department store and the music is playing and the decorations are out for any of these 3 holidays and you're hit with it. And if you're in a rule of life process and processing more often, you've kind of pre-thought about it or pre-decided that, oh, the holidays are going to be in this quarter.
Mm. Well, and it gives you an opportunity really to notice what expectations are part of the coming season. And so there's a shift that happens when we can pre-decide, know that it's coming. It's not about planning out every moment for perfection, but how can we be present differently when we are aware of what's up ahead?
Well, and just sharing from our own personal stories, you and I have both processed hard holidays and hard seasons and may have more ahead. That's part of life. And, I've processed it in grief and loss with our son. I've processed it when it looked different because my daughter got married and now she's not with us in the same way or at every holiday. Can always look different for different reasons. I processed some hard holidays when our son Eric was walking in his addiction. And I remember very vividly, and it's a hard story, but he actually got in trouble with the law 2 days before Christmas one year, the first of the downward journey for him. And it was December 23rd. He ended up in jail. And I look back now and remember kind of walking through that loss of he's not with us, and this is a bigger journey than we thought we were on. And yet, I love Christmas to this day, and I love the celebration. That year was hard, and
Mm.
several years after that were hard, but I've had to lament that and work through that and come to finding different places of joy and redeeming. You and I have talked about that many times
Yeah.
personally of redeeming a memory or making new memories in old places. How for you, Erica, have you walked through some of the hard things into new things?
Well, thank you for sharing that. And as you were saying that, Teresa, I'm remembering a very personal interaction with you in that moment where it was like, I'm sad and I feel peace because I know that he's safe. And there was such a strange polar opposites there in some ways. And so, yeah, for me, I mean, the holidays, growing up in a family where tradition was a big deal, and walking through a divorce and having that separation. I mean, navigating when you're first married, the transition of we're going to my family for this and his family for this, that's a transition, even though it's kind of a joyful season and it's exciting, it's hard because you're pulled in two directions. And then to walk through divorce and kind of have family just totally torn out of your life really is the only way I know to describe it. It was hard. And I remember walking through an amazing program. I mean, divorce care initially, but then they actually created a program called Surviving the Holidays. So necessary. And I would say some of the key things I learned there actually would apply in grief or for step families or whatever it is. I mean, there's so many spaces where yeah, that was just very healing for me, but I needed support to walk through that.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something that we would say is a resource too, whether it's for
Yeah.
yourself or clients that you're working with, is the holidays is a time that support is much needed. Who is your circle of trust? Who's your circle of friends? I spent many holidays with friends around my table. There was a season where my parents lived in Florida. They were snowbirds. And so Dale and I didn't do the traditions that we have now, which is with his side of the family. And so
Mm.
our many times Thanksgiving for us was spent alone. And so we would invite some friends over and spend it that way. And yeah, but who's your support circle? And if you decide in a season that I just need to be alone, that's okay too. So much is put on us of an expectation
Yeah.
of, the party feel, I need to be with others, I need to be with people. And I would say too, what does your faith invite you to? What feels like I want to go to a service at Thanksgiving or Christmas or at New Year's, and I want to experience that. And so, yeah, the support piece I think is huge. Naming just the one thing or the two things you're going to do during the season. But I want to shift a little bit, Erica, to talking about how the season shows up in your business, because you and I both walked through some hard seasons and we were doing a business.
Hmm.
You are a human being. When you come to listen to others' stories, to listen to others in coaching, that you're holding your own experience while you're coaching with others. So can you talk a little bit from your own experience as a coach, as you've grown, as you instruct other coaches through some instruction and teaching and training you do for us and for other organizations? How do we sit in that place and take ourselves out of the picture without disconnecting, so to speak?
Well, this is such an important piece for sustainability with anyone in a helping profession and with anyone who's working in general, but especially for coaches. And so naming, that the season you're in is different is kind of that acceptance piece. And then what? And so prioritizing your self-care and really acknowledging that the things that I'm actually able to handle, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, those things fluctuate when we're in a season of abundance and they go high and they go low and we can handle it. When we're in a season where grief or sorrow or hard, challenging things, it kind of just is this low ripple or they're just all lower than normal. And so just acknowledging that that's going to take extra capacity. And so we already talked about it a little bit. What support do I need? And also maybe even, we talked about this on our network call this morning, sometimes it's not about adding something, sometimes it's about taking something away and saying, what am I not doing for the sake of honoring my capacity in this season? And just being able to give yourself, more frequent breaks or rest, looking at your schedule. How much are you over scheduling to try to crunch it in before the end of the year? This is not about finishing so strong. We said even this morning, finish soft.
Yeah.
And so that's part of that expectation.
Yeah. It was a great conversation today about being present to your own self in the season before. How many more client calls can I get in? Everybody wants to do coaching before December 15th or all that things. So there's a couple things I think that we've practically done both individually and as a team is we pick a day that, we're not working past December 18th. And for me, not working means I'm not seeing clients, 5 or 6 or 7 days before, and then I'm having the week off between Christmas and New Year's. So what margin do you want to give yourself to be present, to have time to process some of your own thoughts in your own space? And definitely, what's your capacity in this season? Maybe it's only 5 clients a week or 4 clients a week. That's okay. December is 1 month out of the year. And many times as we're talking with our coaches and we coach with them, it is that, what's this quarter look like for you? And so maybe October and November a little heavier, and then you lighten up as you come through December. The world, I think, in business will tell you it's pushed to the end of the year, especially as we're out and about the retail space, the food industry, all these other places. But yet, is that really what we want to do? Is that what you as a listener want to do in this season, is to push towards something? There, I can't say enough about having some type of life plan or rule of life plan that lets that pressure come off. And I would also say, just from a business perspective too, looking at your numbers to say, when are my highest peaks of
Mm.
coaching?
Yeah.
It may not be from Thanksgiving to the new year. This might be more time that's open for you and your family and planning and visioning for the next year and all of that, rather than I'm pushing to do more. I just, You can pre-decide that. You get the opportunity that I've learned. And I have learned from my experience of almost 10 years in coaching that really clients aren't always looking to meet in the last 2 weeks of December. Like, that's not their prime. They're backing away too. And if you give them that permission and you
Mm.
close out well, get them back on your calendar in January. How are you navigating some of that, Erica? We're right in the thick of it right now, both of us with our
We
clients.
a we absolutely are, and so much of what you're talking about, I love what you said about just developing that plan, because if you know December is going to be a shorter month for revenue, it's not like it just comes as a surprise, and you can plan around that.
Here, right?
Yes, and so with every client I'm meeting with right now, it's almost like that breath. My clients are retainer clients, so that we just keep rolling, but the question I'm asking them, what would you like to do moving forward? And so it's a new year and they're shifting into new rhythms and things like that. But we are looking forward. And with every client, I'm coaching through the 18th of this month. If there's something that you need between now and this next session, I will be taking these weeks as holiday for family and loved ones. And so I'm just communicating because it feels loving for them to know they have access. If I'm available, and I certainly will, but I'm not doing formal sessions throughout that time. And I want to let them know that up front so that they can schedule and know what we're looking forward to coming back to so that they get back into the rhythm as we start the new year.
And what you're saying is so wise because it's also setting up those boundaries with your clients of, what is your availability? What have you kind of set up of how you work together? You were saying retainer clients. And so I love the retainer model and all of that. They're paying you the same each month to do the same number of sessions and you've built this relationship until they tell you differently, right? And so I love that model for coaching. I think it really helps the revenue to even out and all of those things. It's good business management. But it is going back to the beginning of this conversation and just reviewing. First, it's naming in you. So start in the being. Start in your own self to say, how am I feeling this year?
Mm.
What is my head, my heart, and my body engaged in this year? And I'll be honest to say, I'm coming into this Christmas season with some new things on my plate. My father's having some health issues. I'm very, very aware that it could be a fuller holiday season.
Mm.
With my mother this morning, I mean, this is real life, and she's like, "I don't even have my tree up. I don't have all my stuff." And I said, "Mom, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Maybe we just put out a few things this year." So, live into what it is. And if it's busier, it's okay. If it feels fuller, if
Mm.
you're going to travel where you normally don't, but come to naming that first and holding it for yourself so that when you're listening to others and they say, "Oh, I've got to travel this year and I want to coach around that." And it's what you're not triggered into your own story. And you can say, "I've processed that. I'm going to put that over here." We both used the same mentor coach for some different things. And she used to say, write it in the margin. If you're taking notes, set it aside and you can come back to it. But staying present to who you're having a conversation with.
Yeah,
It could be a client, it could be a family member, but
absolutely.
present to who you're in relationship with at that time.
Yeah, I was thinking of that even this December. December is obviously there's gifts to buy and there's things. So if you're looking at budget and those types of things, and I'm thinking, do I need to meet with my coach twice this month or just once? And I thought, no. Anytime that there's an expanded expect need for presence, the capacity, it could be stretched, then all the more reason. And so that's why we say all the time, coaches need coaches. And so your time to work out the things you're managing and dealing with and navigating is not during your client sessions. And so love yourself first. I had a client that said to me this week, she said, I'm just recognizing that I am a lot more comfortable like handing everyone else my oxygen mask, but I got to keep it on me. And I love that thought of just the awareness to say, I am a helper and I love to take care of others, but how is it loving for me to take care of myself so that I can
Yes.
serve others well and be present with them in this season.
Yeah. As we wrap up this episode, there's a couple parts, the being and the doing, and all belong and all are purposeful and all fit, but it's recognizing where you're building from. We've used for years as a part of our logo, the triangle. And at the bottom is real self, in the middle is real life, and then it's real work. And if that's upside down and we're working and pushing right to the end and the triangle is on its point, so to speak, yeah, you're gonna come to the middle, the week between Christmas and New Year's exhausted.
Mm.
Yet you could come fully present to others, to your clients, to yourself. And so we'll just leave you with God is with you in it. Christmas is about presence and hope, joy and peace. And we just encourage you, you're not behind. You're not doing it wrong. Live in to whatever comes for you, even as you listen through this episode. Maybe pull out a piece of paper or pull out your phone and just take down some notes and say, where am I right now? And we just pray that you'll know God's presence in whatever this season looks like for you. And next year, it may be different. It's okay to be present to where you're at in this season. We hope you'll find that this season. We will be rolling with podcasts all through the end of the year. We do kind of record ahead so we can be present after the 18th of December or whatever that is, that Friday before. But we'll be here. We'll be celebrating with you. We just pray for you as a listener that you will find the moments, because every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment, especially through this season. And we just hope that you'll see them and that you'll look for them along the way. So have a great week, everyone.